Let us pray. Almighty God, you in your wisdom and goodness have appointed the office of leaders and county assemblies for the welfare of society and the just government of the people. We beseech you to behold with the abundant favor as your servant, whom you have been pleased to call to the performance of important trust in this republic. Let your blessings descend upon us here assembled, and grant that we treat and consider all matters that shall come under deliberation in so just and faithful a manner as to promote your honor and glory, and to advance the peace, prosperity, and welfare of our country and of those whose interests you have committed to our charge. Amen. Honorable members, I'd like to request the quorum bell to be rung for the first 5 minutes. Honorable members, I can see the deputy majority whip. Can you please confirm if you have quorum? Honorable Jennifer Obonya.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. There is enough quorum.
Madam Clerk, please take us through the order for the day.
Order paper number 401 of today, Wednesday, 1st April 2026 at 2:30 p.m. Order number 1, administration of oath.
Next order.
Order number 2, communication from the chair.
Next order.
Order number 3, messages.
Next order.
Order number 4, petitions.
Next order.
Order number 5, papers.
Next order.
Order number 6, notices of motion.
Next order.
Order number 7, statements.
Honorable members, it's statement time. Next order.
Yes. Order number 8, motion. Adoption of the report of PICPA Committee on examination of the report of the Auditor General on the financial statements of Lumumba Sub-County Level 4 Hospital for the financial year 2024-2025.
Yes, Honorable James Omolo.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, allow me to move the motion on behalf of the Chair, PICPAC, Honorable Kenouko. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Go ahead, Honorable James Omolo.
Thank you. Madam Speaker, on this motion, adoption of the report of PICPAC Committee on examination of the report of the Auditor General on the financial statement of Lumumba Sub-County Level 4 Hospital for the financial year 2024-25. Honorable Speaker, on behalf of the Public Accounts and Investment Committee, PICPAC, and pursuant to Standing Orders 188 of the Kisumu County Assembly, I would like to present to this Honorable House the Public Accounts and Investment Committee report on the audited financial statement of Lumumba Level 4 Hospital for the financial year 2024-2025 financial year. The County Assembly exercises oversight over county government entities and their use of public funds as provided under Article 185(3) of the Constitution of Kenya 2010. This mandate is exercised through the Public Accounts and Investment Committee. Further, Article 229(8)
Honorable James Omolo, take your seat. Yes, Honorable Adonija Odari.
Madam Speaker, thank you very much. The mover of the motion is naked.
Sergeant at arms, can you please confirm if the move of the motion, Honorable James Omolo, is well dressed? Honorable James Omolo, you can take leave from the house and come back when you're well dressed. Yes, Honorable Tom Nyaoke.
Madam Speaker, relevant standing order can I proceed and continue reading the motion as we...
I can only allow a member of the committee to move the motion. And in case of absence, then we'll have to move on to the next business. Honorable Gentleman, I can see you're back. Can we have the sergeant confirm whether you're well dressed? Okay, Honorable James Omolo, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Sorry for that. Madam Speaker, further on Article 2298 of the Constitution requires that the County Assembly considers, debates, and takes appropriate action on the Auditor General's report within 3 months after receipt. In this regard, the committee convened the 4 sittings during which it examined the audit report of Lumumba Sub-County Level 4 Hospital financial year 2024-25 and received both written and oral submissions from the accounting officer and hospital management in response to the issues flagged by the Auditor General. Honorable Speaker, the committee notes with appreciation the positive strides made by Lumumba Sub-County Hospital in improving the credibility of its financial reporting. The Auditor General issued a qualified opinion on the financial statement of the facility for the financial year ended 30th June 2025. The committee, however, noted a number of audit issues that require attention. The management provided an asset register with no relevant details, such as the depreciation rate, annual depreciation, accumulated depreciation, and the net book values. Review of the title deeds provided by the management revealed that the document was still in the name of the defunct Municipal Council of Kisumu. In addition, the committee observed that the facility during the financial year failed to timely remit statutory deductions, exposing the facility to potential penalties and legal liabilities. Furthermore, Honorable Speaker, there were long-standing receivables from the Social Health Authority. Honorable Speaker, based on the highlighted findings, the committee has made recommendations aimed at strengthening financial management, enhancing accountability, and improving compliance with legal and regulatory frameworks. These recommendations are intended to address the identified gaps in revenue management, asset control, and governance structures. The committee emphasized the need of timely implementation of these measures to mitigate the risk and enhance operational efficiency. Further, the recommendations seek to support the hospital in improving service delivery and achieving its mandate effectively. Honorable Speaker, I wish to appreciate members of the committee for their dedication, as well as the Office of the Speaker and Clerk of the County Assembly, the Committee Secretariat, and the Office of the Auditor General for the support rendered in compiling this report. I also recommend the management of Lumumba Sub-County Level 4 Hospital for the progress made in improving their financial management. Honorable Speaker, it's therefore my honor and on behalf of the Public Accounts and Investment Committee to present this report on the consideration of the Auditor General's report on the financial statement of Lumumba Sub-County Level 4 Hospital for the year ended June 30th, 2025, and I urge this Honorable House to adopt it. Honorable Speaker, I hereby request that this House adopts this report of the Public Accounts and Investment Committee on consideration of the Auditor General report on the financial year of financial statements of the Lumumba Sub-County Hospital for the year ended 30th June 2025. May I call upon Honorable Tom Nyaoke to second? Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Honorable Tom Nyaoke. Honorable members, and now that the report of PIC and PAC Committee on examination of the report of the Auditor General on the financial statement of Lumumba County Level 4 Hospital for the financial year 2024-2025 has been presented and seconded. And as per standing orders, it's time for me to propose a question. And I propose that this report is now open for debate. Yes, Honorable Ratib Baiton.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, looking at the way members are clearly satisfied with the report, may I call the remover to reply?
Yes, Honorable James Omolo.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I want to thank the members for having been satisfied by the report. Madam Speaker, Lumumba has come a long way. When we started this assembly this term, their opinion from the Auditor General's view was very low. Until as of today, they had a qualified opinion from the Auditor General, and they have really made a tremendous footstep from where they started as we commenced in 2022. Right now, the only big deal they are having with the auditors is some matters which are maybe beyond them in terms of getting the right title deed for the facility, and also doing the asset registers and getting value for each asset that they are having. So far, that is what is really still getting them down. Otherwise, they would even have unqualified opinion from the Auditor Generals. But so far, the kind of progress they are doing, I think is tremendous, and we hope soon enough they will be having no issue with the auditors when they make every arrangement to get the title deed in the facility's name and to get the best or the asset registers in the best way. Madam Speaker, also in matters SHA, from the committee findings, some were beyond them because, as you know, SHA is a very new aspect, and some of the monies owed to them by SHA, it is only SHA that could release the money to the accounts of the facility. So some of these things were beyond them, and I think as we integrated them, they also told us the same. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Madam Speaker, I beg to reply. Thank you.
Honorable members, and now that the report by the Public Accounts and Investments Committee on the examination of the report of the Auditor General on the financial statements of Lumumba Sub-County Hospital for the year ended 30th of June 2025 has been presented, seconded, and debated. And it's time for me to put a question. And I put that as many of the opinion that this report be adopted, say aye. As many of the contrary opinion say nay. And therefore the ayes have it. And therefore the report on the examination of the report of the Auditor General on the financial statements of Lumumba Sub-County Hospital for the year ended 30th of June, 2025 by the Public Accounts and Investments Committee has been adopted today, 1st of April, 2026 at 14:58 hours. And I therefore direct that this report be submitted to the relevant departments as per the recommendations and report brought back to the House. For implementation, sorry. Yes, the report be submitted to the relevant department as recommended in the recommendations and the implementation committee to bring back a report back to the House. Next, Order Clerk.
Order number 9. Motion. Approval of the progress report of the ad hoc committee on source revenue on the inquiry into the performance of Kisumu County on source revenue.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I rise to give a progress report on the inquiry into the performance of on-source revenue in Kisumu County for adoption. Madam Speaker, and honorable members, the progress report details the work of the ad hoc committee on source revenue, the committee in its inquiry into administration, performance, and governance of own source revenue in Kisumu County, conducted pursuant to Standing Orders number 193 of the Kisumu County Assembly Standing Orders. The County Assembly blesses this committee in recognition of the persistent and systematic performance of Kisumu County's own source revenue against approval annual targets and a structural deficit that has progressively constrained the county's capacity to fund development and discharge its service delivery obligations. The county was charged with conducting a comprehensive evidence-based inquiry into the root causes of this underperformance and recommending concrete reforms. Within 6 weeks of its establishment, the committee has uncovered direct and documented evidence of revenue diversion through off-system cash collections, established that the Kisumu Revenue Management System was suspended due to non-payment of contractual obligations, identified critical governance deficiencies in the composition of the Revenue Board, and benchmarked Kisumu County's performance against peer counties that have achieved substantial superior revenue outcomes through targeted institutional and technological reforms. The findings documented in this progress report are neither peripheral nor relative. They point to systemic weaknesses in institutional governance, technological infrastructure, contractual management, enforcement culture, and legal compliance that have cost the county potentially hundreds of millions of shillings in foregone revenue. The committee is satisfied that Kisumu County possesses the revenue potential necessary to meet and exceed its annual on-source revenue targets, provided these weaknesses are addressed with urgency and political will. The committee presents this progress report in the spirit of transparency and accountability, and calls upon the County Assembly to take cognizance of preliminary findings and direct the county executive to take immediate corrective action on the most urgent matters identified herein. The Speaker, specific objectives. In furtherance of the foregoing, the committee was tasked with 4 specific objectives. 1, determine the root causes of the Kenya shillings 3.43 billion resource gap projected for the financial year 2026-2027 cycle. 2, to identify systemic weaknesses and corruption risk at revenue collection points across the county. 3, to propose legal, administrative, and technological reforms, including full automation of unstructured revenue streams. And 4, Madam Speaker, to recommend specific disciplinary or legal remedies for proven negligence or wrongdoing under Section 197 of the PMF Act. Madam Speaker, but the 2 we had work plan and investigative methodology. That is overview of the work plan. Madam Speaker and honorable members, the committee adopted structured 60-day comprehensive on-source revenue investigation, diagnostic and reform work plan. The work plan was organized into thematic phases designed to ensure a systemic, evidence-based, and outcome-oriented investigation. The methodology encompassed formal, deliberative sittings and hearings, technical briefings, impromptu oversight inspections, ICT system audit, field verification exercises, and a benchmarking study in selected peer counties. Madam Speaker, the committee resolved at the outset that its approach would be guided, above all, by the imperatives of factual accuracy, empirical rigor, and the public interest. All engagements were designed to interrogate systemic inefficiencies and develop recommendations that are both evidence-based and implementable within the county's existing institutional. Madam Speaker, first with implementation, the work plan was structured into 5 principal phases as follows. We have in page 11, page 12, you can refer the table. And then we have part 3, which is activities undertaken and findings. 3 of 1, that is formal deliberation with the Kisumu Revenue Board. Madam Speaker and honorable members, the committee held a series of structured and formal engagement with Kisumu Revenue Board, the board to interrogate Kisumu Revenue Board to interrogate the operational status of the county's revenue collection, contractual obligations, reconciliation process, and revenue. Each session formed the foundational evidentiary base from which the community's broader inquiry has. We also had, Madam Speaker, impromptu oversight visit to Kisumu Revenue Board. The following credible reports of a system shutdown, the committee conducted. Sorry, I come again. Following credible reports of a system shutdown, the committee conducted an announced and impromptu oversight visit to the premises of the Kisumu Revenue Board to establish at first hand the facts surrounding the service disruption. The committee confirmed that the shutdown had occurred as a direct consequence of non-payment of outstanding contractual dues amounting to approximately 31 million owed to the service provider. The suspension of the IRMS rendered the system inaccessible, thereby preventing the issuance of permits, licenses, and real-time receipts. The committee established, however, that payments through mobile money channels continued during the shutdown period, with funds held by the service provider pending remittance to county. The analytical review of the shutdown's financial impact reveals the full severity of the disruption, as reflected in the day-by-day revenue data set out in the table below. I refer to that table. Document. Madam Speaker, I move field verification. Madam Speaker, in furtherance of its mandate to validate system data against ground level reality, the committee resolved to undertake unannounced field verification visits to selected high revenue generating markets within the county. These visits were specifically designed to compare actual transactions on the ground with corresponding records in the IRMS, identify discrepancies, and detect instances of informal, off-system, or unauthorized revenue collection. The committee's first field verification visit was conducted at Kibuye Market on Sunday, 29 March 2026, with a visiting team arriving at 5:30 a.m. 5:40 a.m. coincide with the earliest hours of market activity when produce delivery vehicles arrive and revenue collection commences. The visiting team comprised of Honorable Frederick Adonija, member, Honorable Alice Yewa, member, and secretariat. Observations were recorded up to 10:30 a.m. The primary objectives of the visit were to verify whether revenue was being charged at the correct rates, whether all transactions were being processed exclusively through the IRMS, and whether parking fees were being collected as a separate mandatory levy from all applicable vehicles. Madam Speaker and honorable members, the committee made the following observations from the Kibuye Market visit. 1. Widespread non-compliance of the 8 vehicles for which a definitive compliance determination could be made. 5 had no revenue charge whatsoever, representing a non-compliance rate of approximately 63%. 2, universal omission of parking fees. Not a single vehicle among those assessed had a parking fee charged against it. This total and uniform failure cannot be attributed to oversight. It points to a deliberate and systemic practice. 3, Madam Speaker, confirmed off-system cash collection. Vehicle KCV 403W provides direct and ambiguous confirmation that revenue is being collected in cash outside the IRMS, rendering the system's data an incomplete and unreliable record of actual revenue generated. 4, Madam Speaker, sustained cash arrangement. KDT 240Z. There was the absence of any IRMS RMS transaction for this vehicle for the entire month of March 2026, despite its confirmed regular presence at the market, constitute credible evidence of a calculated and ongoing revenue diversion arrangement. Number 5, Madam Speaker, there was selective and inconsistent charging. The arbitrary and non-uniform application of revenue levies strongly implies that charging decisions are being made on the basis of personal relationships or inducements rather than compliance obligations. The other site visit, Madam, was Kombewa Market, which was done on the 27th March 2026. The committee conducted a field verification visit at Kombewa Market Friday, 27th March 2026. The visiting team comprised of Honorable Millicent Omoya, the Vice Chairperson Committee, Honorable Ratib Oitone, member, and the primary objective of the visit was to assess the prevailing revenue collection practices, evaluate compliance levels, and identify operational and systemic challenges affecting revenue performance. The findings covered 3 principal revenue categories: livestock, market produce, single business permit. Madam Speaker, I move to committee observation for Kombewa Market. Having considered the evidence gathered, the committee makes the following submissions in respect of Kombewa Market. Kombewa Market has significant revenue potential, particularly from single business permit and the livestock trade, which is currently substantially unrealized. System inefficiencies and infrastructure gaps are major contributors to revenue leakages at the market. 3, weak enforcement mechanisms have led to persistently low compliance levels among traders. For Madam Speaker, the reliance on a privately owned livestock market possesses an unacceptable structural, legal, and administrative risk to revenue collection and demands urgent. Madam Speaker, I move to benchmarking exercise. That is Kiambu, Muranga, and Laikipia counties. Madam Speaker, in recognition of importance of grounding its inquiry in empirically validated best practice, the committee undertook a benchmarking exercise in Kiambu, Muranga, Laikipia counties selected their demonstrable upward physical trajectories and progressive revenue administration models. Start with Kiambu, that is the growth lead. Kiambu County has demonstrated a remarkable and sustained revenue growth trajectory, increasing own source of revenue from 2.9 billion in 2021-2022 to a projected 5.4 billion in 2024-2025. The committee established that this exceptional growth has been achieved not through increases in tax rates, but through strategic investment in system integrity, operational efficiency, and institutional accountability. Kiambu has implemented a fully integrated enterprise resource planning system that enables seamless revenue management and real-time monitoring across all election points. The development impact of this enhanced revenue performance is tangible and instructive for Kisumu County. 62 hospitals and 312 early childhood development education, that is, these centers, have been constructed, and the county's bursary allocation has been moved from 200 million to 500 million. Kiambu has also implemented the innovative Angaza Kiambu project, which has installed over 12,000 solar street lights. A vivid demonstration of the direct link between effective revenue mobilization and improved service delivery. Madam Speaker, I move to Murang'a County. That is the cashless pioneer. Murang'a County has nearly doubled its revenue collection between 2021, 2022, and 2023, 2024, reaching Kenya shillings 1.11 billion. This growth is primarily attributed to the county's bold shift transition to a fully cashless revenue collection system, leveraging mobile money platforms and online payment system to eliminate cash transactions entirely from its collection architecture. The committee observed this transition has fundamentally transformed transparency in revenue collection, minimized leakages, and significantly improved taxpayer compliance. Madam Speaker, Murang'a primary revenue streams, health services, single business permits, and land-related fees are managed through a workforce of 354 revenue officers deployed under both permanent and 5-year contractual arrangements. The county has also developed strong stakeholder engagement mechanisms, including partnership with SACCOs and local institutions, which have contributed meaningfully to improved compliance and revenue. Madam, allow me to move to Laikipia County, where they have performance architect. Laikipia County's revenue strategy is anchored in what the committee has characterized as horizontal on-source revenue growth, a philosophy of expanding the revenue base through the identification and activation of untapped streams, rather than deepening extractions from existing taxpayers through rate increase. The county's implementation of the cascaded individual target model, exemplified by the Orbit ward model, cascades the revenue performance targets down to individual officers at ward and barrier levels, creating direct personal accountability for collection outcome. A particular instructive feature of Laikipia's model is the domiciliation of revenue targets within sectoral departments, that is health, trade, agriculture, rather than consolidating accountability exclusively within the revenue board. This approach creates ownership over revenue generation at the departmental level, aligns revenue directly with service delivery, thereby strengthening both physical performance and departmental activity. Madam Speaker, allow me to move to part 5, which is preliminary findings. Madam Speaker, having regard to all the evidence received investigations conducted, analysis taken to date, the committee sets out the following preliminary. That is, revenue leakage and off-system collection. The committee has established with direct documented evidence that revenue is being diverted from the county's consolidated fund through informal cash-based collection arrangement that operate entirely outside the IRMS. The Kibuye market field visit provided concrete evidence of this practice. The IRMS data cannot therefore be relied upon as an accurate or complete representation of actual revenue generated at Kisumu County's market and other collections. Systemic non-compliance at collection points. The committee has found that revenue collection at key market sites within the county is characterized by widespread non-compliance, selective enforcement, and the systematic omission of mandatory levies, including parking fees. A non-compliance rate of approximately 63% was documented at Kibuye. The committee has no basis to assume that this rate is exceptional or typical. Madam Speaker, I move to governance deficient at the revenue. The Kisumu County Revenue Board is not properly constituted in accordance with the requirements of the Kisumu County Revenue Administration Amendment Act of 22. This renders the board's decision and directive legally vulnerable and creates a governance vacuum that undermines the integrity, oversight, and strategic direction of the county's revenue administration framework. Next is contractual management and systemic risks. The county's dependence on a single service provider for its entire digital revenue management infrastructure without adequate contractual safeguards, performance benchmarks, or exist provisions constitutes an unacceptable operational risk. A system shutdown of February 2026, resulting in a 74% collapse in collections over 4 days, is the most vivid manifestation of this risk. Reconciliation and reporting failures. Delayed, incomplete, and inconsistent reconciliation of revenue collected through multiple channels has undermined both fiscal accountability and audit assurance. The mismatch between revenue targets contained in the county's budget and those the revenue board's performance contract, a discordance of 900 million, reflects a fundamental failure of financial governance. When we come to legal impediment revenue mobilization, outstanding litigation regarding the county's draft valuation roll 2017 has effectively suspended the county's ability to lawfully levy and collect property rates, a significant revenue. Unless resolved, this legal impediment will continue to constrain the county's on-source revenue. There was also weak enforcement and accountability culture. The committee has observed a systemic culture of weak enforcement and inadequate disciplinary response to revenue officers' misconduct, characterized by a tendency to transfer rather than sanction errant staff. This approach perpetuates the condition that enable revenue leakage and officers' misconduct. Madam Speaker, Part 5 deals with Madam Speaker, in light of the preliminary findings set out above, the committee presents the following preliminary recommendations for the consideration of the County Assembly. These recommendations shall be defined. These recommendations shall be defined and presented to comprehensive form in the final report, together with a phased implementation plan and proposed accountability mechanism. Madam Speaker, we have immediate institutional and the governor should, within 30 days of the tabling of this report, take all necessary steps to ensure the proper constitution of the Kisumu County Revenue Board in accordance with Section 3A of Paragraph 2 of the Kisumu County Revenue Administration Amendment Act 2022, including the appointment of all required statutory members. B, Madam Speaker, the county executive should immediately institute a comprehensive audit of IRMS records for all major markets covering the period January to March 2026 to identify all vehicles, traders, revenue streams with gaps or anomalies. Their charging history consistent with off-system cash payment. Madam Speaker, the county should urgently develop and implement a revenue business continuity plan that includes alternative system backup arrangements, return and collection channels, and standing procedures to ensure revenue operations are not suspended in the event of any single point contractual or technological failure. Revenue system integrity. Madam Speaker, revenue officers collecting revenue outside the IRMS should be identified and required to provide written explanation for the specific non-charging and cash collection practices documented by the visiting team. The county should implement real-time IRMS compliance monitoring mechanisms at all major markets, including automated cross-checks between vehicle entry logs and IRMS transaction records, and supervisory oversight protocol for revenue officers. We also looked into contractual and legal remedies. The county should negotiate the agreement with Safaricom to incorporate clearly defined, legally measurable key performance indicators, a robust liability and indemnity framework, comprehensive data protection provision aligned with the Data Protection Act, a structured exit transition framework. The county should pursue resolution of the pending litigation regarding the draft valuation roll 2017 as a matter of urgency, engaging competent legal counsel to expedite a favorable determination and restore the county's capacity to lawfully levy property rates. The County Assembly's legal services should review all revenue-related legislation and finance acts for the last 5 financial years and advise on the necessity of legislative amendment to strengthen the county's revenue administration. Madam Speaker, go to benchmarking via reform. Drawing from the lessons of the benchmarking exercise conducted in Kiambu, Murang'a, and like the counties, the committee recommends the following strategic reform. A, that Kisumu County should adopt a cascaded individual target model, linking revenue officers performance appraisal directly to daily and monthly collection targets at the ward level so as to enhance accountability, efficiency, and performance tracking across all revenue streams. B, that Kisumu County should formalize departmental revenue targets, assigning clear and measurable revenue responsibilities to specify service delivery departments, including health, agriculture, trade, and infrastructure, in order to optimize revenue generation from sector-based programs services. C, that Kisumu County should prioritize investment in enforcement mobility infrastructure through the dedicated procurement of motorbikes, vehicles for field enforcement and audit team, strengthen compliance, minimize revenue leakages. D, Madam Speaker, Kisumu County should implement targeted compliance incentive programs, including waivers and amnesty initiatives, regularize outstanding payments, encourage voluntary compliance, and rebuild public confidence in the county's revenue system. Finally, E, Madam Speaker, Kisumu County should strengthen its legislative and policy frameworks by ensuring regular review and updating of finance acts to align with national fiscal policies, emerging economic realities, and evolving best practices in subnational revenue administration. At 5, Madam Speaker, the pending activities and timeline final report. Madam Speaker, the committee acknowledges that its mandate period extends to 23rd April 2020, and that number of significant investigative activities remain outstanding. The following activities are scheduled for completion prior to the tabling of the final report. The table I'm referring to page 94. Part 5, Madam Speaker, is Madam Speaker, the Ad hoc Committee on Source Revenue submits its progress report to the County Assembly of Kisumu in the spirit of transparency and accountability that is fundamental to the committee's constitutional mandate. The findings documented herein, though preliminary, paint a picture that the committee considers to be both urgent and ambiguous in its implication for the physical health and governance integrity of Kisumu. Madam Speaker, the challenges confronting the county's own source revenue framework are neither cynical nor accidental. They are the product of weaknesses. The institutional governance, technological infrastructure, contractual management, enforcement culture, and legal compliance that have accumulated over time and have aggregate cost the county potentially hundreds of millions of shillings in foregone revenue. The benchmarking exercise confirms that peer counties operating within the same national fiscal environment have achieved substantially superior revenue outcomes through the applications of precisely the kinds of reforms that the committee is satisfied that, on the basis of the evidence gathered to date, the county government of Kisumu possesses the revenue potential necessary to meet and exceed its government and exceed its annual OSR targets, provided that the systemic weaknesses identified in this report are addressed with urgency, political will, and institutional commitment. The final report to be tabled on or before 23rd of April will present the committee's comprehensive findings, fully evidenced recommendations, and a first implementation roadmap. The committee therefore calls upon the County Assembly to take cognizance of the preliminary findings contained in this progress report and to discharge its constitutional oversight mandate to ensure that the county executive takes immediate corrective action on the most urgent matters identified herein, including the reconstitution of the Revenue Board, the investigation of revenue officers implicated in the off-system cash collection, and the implementation of an IRMS compliance monitoring framework at all major revenue generating. Madam Speaker, this juncture, call James Omolo. Open. Thank you.
Yes, Honorable James Omolo.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, as I rise to second, Madam Speaker, there are several gaps that we've found in this county in matters revenue. Madam Speaker, if you look at what is happening in the field, you are amazed whether we have a government or it is a free-for-all for everyone who is collecting revenue in this county. Madam Speaker, as per the findings as read by Honorable Member, there is a lot of gaps. The issue of IRMS that was introduced in this county has not helped this county at all. Madam Speaker, the integration of this system with the banking system and the Safaricom M-Pesa is a big fraud. And Madam Speaker, you can imagine that there are payments which are not captured by the system and they still end up in the bank. So at the end of the day, when they reconcile, you'll just find the ones on the system being accounted for and the rest, you don't know where they are swept to. Madam Speaker, as per the community's recommendation, I think there are some of the issues which should just happen almost instantaneously. I was in Kibuye on Sunday, Madam Speaker, and your guess is good as mine that in Kibuye you cannot fail short of almost 10,000 traders in a day like Sunday. But the transactions that the IRMS captured on that D-day I was there were only 1,215. You can imagine. Those were the only transactions, and that is it. And you can imagine this has been going on every other day in Kibuye and other markets. Madam Speaker, checking at the targets of the revenue collectors in this county, everybody, whether you are in Seme, or Nyakach, or Kombewa, or Muhoroni, or Kisumu Central in CBD, your only target should be not less than, or not more than 700. So everybody is collecting 700 and 600, 730, 710, 630, and it is happening everywhere in the county. And you can imagine, if I'm a revenue collector in the CBD, where we have the parking lots, you can imagine what I can collect vis-a-vis someone in Apoko, in Nyakach, the whole day. You find that it is systematic and it is by default that everybody must collect somewhere around 700. And that is displayed in the system, and we were amazed to see all this happening. And as I told you, most of the collectors are just collecting cash. We witnessed this in Kibuye. I was one of the people who are in Kibuye. And this cash thing has been normalized, Madam Speaker. It is so normal that they don't even feel afraid that someone can catch them. The enforcement officers which we have for every ward in this country, 35 of them, you find that they only enforce when they want. For example, in Kibuye, we met with the enforcement officer there for Kaloleni Shaurimoyo. He told us he cannot start working until 1+ p.m. And my point is, when is the collection starting? It starts at as early as 4 a.m., 5 a.m., or 6 a.m. But until 1 p.m., they have not started to enforce whether someone has paid revenue or otherwise. So it is a free-for-all market for everyone in this county. Madam Speaker, on a serious note, as a legislator in this county, I feel very disappointed because seemingly the structure of government in this county is not really serious in matters revenue. That is the truth, and even if someone will fault us on this, it is the plain truth, and the truth is there. Madam Speaker, we called the revenue board, and they had to tell us how this works. We don't have a revenue board. There's no revenue board in this county. We asked for the membership, we were told there's none. Only to realize that there is another amorphous body who came to our meeting, and we asked them, who are you? We are advisory committee to advise the revenue board, which is not there. So you can tell what is going on. Madam Speaker, and these things are not happening out of blues. These are systematic things that have been put as such to make it impossible for this county to collect something. Mr. Speaker, I was in Kiambu. Those guys are collecting 5.4 billion for the last fiscal year. And whatever they are doing, they have increased their bursary funding, they have increased their projects in the wards, they have increased everything in terms of what services the community or the citizens of Kiambu are getting. So that tells you that with enhanced collection, we can extensively magnify what we do to our electorates. And that's where we are. And as Kisumu County, we are getting it wrong in matters on source revenue. And I hope the implementation of this report will go a long way. Madam Speaker, to make it worse, there are collectors who are not even revenue collectors. We had a case in scenario in CBD here in Kisumu, where a car was impounded. 7,500 was paid. And when we asked the revenue board, do you know this employee by face? They told us they know him, but he's not a revenue collector. But he impounded the car and the revenue was paid. So it tells you, without tags, without uniform, people are collecting anyhow, anywhere in this county. So as per our recommendation, one of the things they have to implement is to every employee who is in charge of any revenue, whether in Apoko, Kombewa, Murodi, wherever, they should be uniformed and they should have identity cards to do that work they are purposely to do, because that is their work. So, Madam Speaker, I think I'll leave that at that point and I beg to second. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Honorable Bill, why are you up? Okay, honorable members, and now that the ad hoc committee on on-source revenue has presented their progress report on the inquiry into the performance of on-source revenue in Kisumu County has been presented and seconded, and as per standing orders, it's time for me to propose a question. And I propose that this report is now open for debate. Although, honorable members, I'd like to give guidance. As we debate on this report, put it in mind that this is a progress report. So in every discussion and debate that you have, make recommendations to the committee on improving so that we can have a more comprehensive final report. Let us focus on building the ad hoc committee, and so that we can have a much better comprehensive report. Because if you look at the document, they're still within the timeline. It was recommended that they bring a report within 30 days, and the report, a progress report within 30 days, and which has been brought. So we are still holding on for the final report towards the end of April. So the floor is open for debate. Honorable B. Oliver, I saw you on your feet earlier on. Yes, Honorable Mildred Ajumbo.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I stand to support the progress report on the inquiry into the performance of on-source revenue in Kisumu County by the ad hoc committee. First, I want to commend this committee for the job that they've been doing. Madam Speaker, when the chairman was reading the progress report, I was very keen on every point that he read, and this showed how serious the committee is. So serious that even the composition of this house today, 90% of the people sitting here today are members of the ad hoc committee. How I wish this committee could carry their work serious, even in a normal sitting, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I just want to support. Okay, I apologize, the committee members. I just want to say that that was a very elaborate report. It was a very big report. I may not even summarize all of it, but I just wanted to support some of the areas that they had mentioned. I like the part that the committee members did visit the revenue places in this county. They visited Kibuye Market, and they have several observations. They went to Kombewa Market, and several markets and several revenue streams in this county. I also want to appreciate the committee that they were able to sit with the members of the board, in quotes. They say there's an amorphous board that is supervising the board that they had a talk with. And a lot of observations that were carried out, Madam Speaker. Sometimes when the chair was reading, you feel like shedding tears, because you realize when the new constitution came in place in 2010, and at the start of the counties, every citizen of this county had a lot of expectations on the work of the new county structures. And every other single person, when you walk around, even in the ground today, they believe that every other revenues that we collect in the county goes towards the development of the counties. But you look at some of our roads, Madam Speaker, the roads right now, because of the rains, most of the roads have been washed away, and we do not have enough resources to even do the roads. And this shows that there is a real problem, because if we don't collect the on-source revenue, Madam Speaker, expecting money from the exchequer, the 8 billion we collect. I was just wondering, what if there was no money from the national government? Would this county run? Because you look at a county like Kisumu, it's not just a county. This is a city, one of the cities in Kenya, Madam Speaker. And when I listened to the comparison of Kiambu, I've looked at Murang'a County. They also visited Laikipia County. You look at Murang'a County, that's a very small county compared to our county of Kisumu, which is a city, collecting 1.1 billion in terms of on-source revenue. I'm talking about Murang'a, don't correct me. Murang'a County collecting about 1 billion, same to Laikipia, those billions. And I was so impressed about the county of Kiambu. In the year 2021, their revenue, on-source revenue, was about 2.9 billion. But as we speak today, in 2024, their revenue went up to 5.4 billion. I was also interested in their bursary. From 200 million, now they're giving a bursary of 500 million, while we are still at 200 million, Madam Speaker. And several solar street lights, plus the ECDs that have been done in Kiambu County and many other counties. I think when you look at some of these small counties like Murang'a is a very small county, Madam Speaker, compared to Kisumu. So this report is quite elaborate, though it is not yet complete. But as far as we can see, the committee is determined. This committee is working around the clock. But at the end of it all, Madam Speaker, there are some of the recommendations that the committees and the observations that they've come across. There's this system that is called IRMS. Madam Speaker, you said that we can also give our input. If there's a problem with this system, Madam Speaker, I'm sure this is something that the Assembly can invite the executive so that before the committee finishes its work, we can talk to the executive if there's something else that can be done about the system. Because you realize in Kiambu County, they really don't rely much on the human beings, the revenue officers, but Kiambu County relies on the system, Madam Speaker. So it means even in Kisumu County, if we can be serious on the systems of revenue collection, then our revenue will improve. Otherwise, I support the report and thank you, the team.
Yes, Honorable Tom Nyaoke.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I want to first thank the senior Honorable Lumumbo Wade, the chair for the ad hoc committee, for the good presentation he has made before us, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, while this report was being presented, we were tempted to, particularly myself, to imagine the situation in our county, Madam Speaker. It is clearly evident that the revenue collection in this county has been left to individuals who are clever and smarter. If you feel you are smart enough, you just come from your house, you come to the city, you start collecting your own revenue. Mr. Speaker, this is a serious county, Kisumu County, being led by our able Governor, Professor Peter Nyong'o, who is not just a person, but a professor. Mr. Speaker, Madam Speaker, sorry. We have looked at various issues that the ad hoc committee came across, particularly the issue of not using the appropriate system in the revenue collection. Madam Speaker, this is something that is almost happening in all other good counties that are making their revenue collections better and improving each and every time. But Madam Speaker, the type of technology that is being used in Kisumu County for revenue collection, it's like you can't even classify such kind of technology that is being put into use, Madam Speaker. We know, but we are in this country, we visit also other counties, the type of system that they are using, properly ring-fenced, that there is no possible looting at all that can be experienced. Madam Speaker, even if you look at the licensing, how it is done, you can even get a certificate, you can pay, and you get a certificate without the receipt being generated. While we know that there are certain systems that even after paying, without paying money, nothing will be generated. First you pay money, the system recognizes that you're paid. It's when the invoice generated, the invoice now generates the license that you're supposed to use. Madam Speaker, we have e-citizen in this country. Nobody knows about e-citizen. I doubt if there is any person in Kisumu who has dared even to ask, because they know it is very tough to go through this system. So, Madam Speaker, it is evident enough that here in Kisumu, we are trying to look at very cheap system that is able to, anybody else can be able to penetrate and loot money from all those systems. Madam Speaker, I appreciate the fact that the report which has been given before us is indeed a progress report. And we trust, Madam Speaker, with the whole team. Good luck, as my colleague also mentioned, that all of them are present in the floor of the House. Madam Speaker, this one also shows and demonstrates how serious this committee is taking their work. Madam Speaker, we have, and let them have our blessings, that as they proceed and finish this report, we shall certainly have something that we are going to cling on. Thank you, Madam Speaker. I beg to support.
Yes, Honorable Benny Peter Iko.
Madam Speaker, the committee is being praised by the honorable members. I hope they will not get carried away with the praise. They will still be serious with the work and give specific recommendations to this county. Only, Madam Speaker, as we start discussing this report, some crucial members of this House are not here. I wish the chair of the budget was here. I don't want to hide that. I wish the chair of the budget was here. I wish the real leadership of the assembly was here. Because when we talk of money, we want money to go to the wards. They tell us to go to the budget and interrogate the budget. Then we get lost. Madam Speaker and the honorable members, what we are discovering when the budget is brought here, we are being told that the county expects to collect 3.6 billion on source revenue. What has come out, the chief officer on the county revenue board, on his contract, he signed 2.7. When he signed 2.7 to be collected in Kisumu, and the budget reflects 3.6. And when he was being put to task, it was going down to 2.4, Madam Speaker. And when we were discussing more on source revenue, what has been collected up to now, we were finding that it is about 600 million, though the element of 800 was coming. An officer was talking that they aim to get 1.2 billion by the end of the financial year. And when you look at the cycle of collection of on-source revenue, there are a lot of weaknesses. Why are these weaknesses there? Madam Speaker, matters that came out, Kisumu County government signed a contract with Safaricom in 2023. And in this agreement, there is a second party called Reftech that looked to be the owner of the technology. Reftech has since disappeared from this contract. Reftech has since disappeared from this contract. What does it mean? And where did they get Safaricom with Reftech? How did the two come up? You look at the countries we went to, the three countries, they have developed their own digital system for collection. They have developed their own system, digital system of collection. And they are successful. Why can't Kisumu County do the same? Who were consulted when they were going this way? And from 2023 up to now, the executive, the finance department, had they seen the weakness? Had they seen the failure? What measures have they come up to take? Nothing. Why? Because they know they don't have a body to oversight them. And we praise God that this has come up this time. However late it may be, our voice will be heard. And I plead with this House and the chair, we must make specific instructions on this report. That is when we shall help the people of Kisumu County. There are some instances we have come across. The rent of houses owned by Kisumu County government. There was a time the government of Kisumu was collecting about 12 million on rent. And this went down to about 600,000. You ask, what has happened in between? There are stories. Then another story is coming up. A person contracted, a body contracted, called Charcoal, to collect rent. You wonder, why should this happen? The staff employed by this country, whose rent should be collected by check-off system, a body has been contracted to collect. And people also are talking about this body. Another matter that has also come up. Our young children were employed as revenue collectors. I think they were employed 2023, 2024. When they entered the system, they discovered the weaknesses. And money was stolen. And it became glaring in Kisumu County that these young men, these young people had interfered with the system, and there was the element of fraud. What has happened? These young people, instead of them being punished, they have been brought back to the system. What picture does this portray to the staff? Collection of on-source revenue in Kisumu County is a free field. You do whatever you want. And then you will just see how to maneuver your way. Like the young man who was found collecting money in the CBD, who at one time some officers could not identify. Why is that one happening? A weakness in the system. So, honorable members, as the investigation goes on, the big picture is that we have a major weakness on our on-source revenue collection system, and it is not a hidden matter. The Treasury is well conversant with this. Let us investigate, let us bring the report here, and that is the day, like I was telling you yesterday. You don't wait to say, hey, give your contribution and make the right decision. And there's a time will come when we shall be talking of those who are hell-bent to protect the executive. Because it is known in this house, when a poor matter comes to this house, let us stand up and say that is wrong. When you are a legislator, it is not just a matter. The speaker said, as many of the word opinion, no. Let us take our stand and be counted that we want to help this country. Madam Speaker, with those few remarks, though the report is very long and it has a lot of matters to be raised, I will end there so that I don't consume all the time for my colleagues. Thank you.
Honorable Bill Oliver, I've noticed you. Honorable Boyton, I'd like to give you the opportunity, although honorable members, please make reference to standing order number 95-1 on limitation on debates. Please let us try and stick to the time on 5 minutes for each member. Yes, Honorable Rajiv Boyton.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I sit in this committee, and my contribution was made during the report writing of the progress report of this committee. That is why, Madam Speaker, I will not take much time. How I wish that non-members of this committee will be given time to assist this committee on the gaps that they know, so as to improve on what we are talking about here on source revenue. Madam Speaker, that is the essence of bringing this progress report. We know that the 47 member of county assembly in this assembly come from different wards and different areas. And there are gaps and there are problems that they also see in own source revenue from areas where they come. This is the ample time where they can also give contribution or gaps that they see from where they come. Allow me, Madam Speaker, to thank the committee. I realize that they have a number of sittings, and each and every time you will find members of the committee are past the quorum of the committee. And I believe it was also itemized by Honorable Ajumbo that today when the progress report is being read, 11 or members are here. That shows seriousness of the members of this committee. The same level of seriousness must also produce serious results which must be implemented for the benefit of this county. Madam Speaker, we are still at war and we are not relenting. We must produce results. Look at what the chair said. In 2021, Kiambu was doing 2.something billion, which if we do today, everybody will be on top of the world telling how we are doing very good in own source revenue, while our potential is more than 10 billion. Shame on them. Madam Speaker, I contribute. Thank you.
Yes, Honorable Bill Oliver.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I am a member of this committee, the ad hoc committee, and I visited the 3 counties. Madam Speaker, I want to really support what Honorable Ratiba said, that this is a war that we must win. Madam Speaker, walking to the 3 counties, really, we were ashamed as members, and that is the truth. Because we visited the 3 counties, and really, normally it's a practice. When you go to benchmark somewhere, you borrow ideas from them, and you also share your ideas. Madam Speaker, I want to report to this House that there's no idea we gave these counties. And that is the truth, because we were learning. Everything was new to us. Because the milestone these 3 counties have gone, really, it is very disappointing. We are a very proud county, Kisumu. We have a governor who is a professor, very respected in this country. And yet, we didn't have anything to give these 3 counties. Madam Speaker, it is very shameful. One county, like Laikipia, that was the last county we went to. Their total revenue collectors were around 100. 100 revenue collectors, and their collection was around 1.1 billion, if I didn't forget. And Madam Speaker, doing a comparison with Kisumu County with over 230 revenue collectors, right now, our collection is around 600 million. Very shameful, Madam Speaker. Looking at their systems, the ERP systems, Madam Speaker, that the 3 counties had. And then we came back and looked at ours. Ours is designed for stealing. Because if you look at the components that were there, one was the money collected through the web system. The other was money collected through M-Pesa. Then the USSD one is a deliberate thing so that money can be stolen. It doesn't go through the system. Any USSD payment in Kisumu County, you can see it at the bank, but you can't see it through the system. Meaning, in the evening when revenue collection has been done and they are doing their balancing, that is where they look at how much they want to submit and how much they don't want to reconcile. So Kisumu County, for real, it is a real haste. You steal what you can. That is what is happening in Kisumu County. Madam Speaker, it is very unfortunate until now. We have a system that was developed. We were told that it is developed by Safaricom, but our realization, there's a company called RevTech. That company developed the system and they are using, I don't know the IT terms, Safaricom is their host or something of the sort. They're using Safaricom to do the services. Madam Speaker, from our investigations, we realized that there was some disagreements between Safaricom and that company because some money was withdrawn. And until now, we don't know how much was lost. The only thing we can say right now is that the two, Safaricom and RevTech, disagreed. And it is so unfortunate, Madam Speaker, that we even went ahead as a county to have a revenue board. And right now, we don't have a board. We have, I don't know what name to give that, the group that came to visit us in our ad hoc committee. We don't have a revenue board. And then there's another group that is monitoring the revenue board that is not there. Madam Speaker, something that we realized from all the 3 counties we visited, the governor of the 3 counties are very passionate about revenue collection. And I'm very sure for Kisumu County, I can't say that about our governor. We really have very good manifestos for our Kisumu County people. But when it comes down to implementation, it's about who will take what and who will go with what. That is the report in clear, simple words. We were very ashamed. And I'm happy I went to the 3 counties and visited and saw everything that happened. A case, Kiambu County, they were showing us their collection online. There's no point where the revenue collector interacts with money. No point completely. No point where they interact with the money. And it was very pleasing to see. They opened their system for us to see at around 12:47. That was the first time they showed us their system. And the collection for the day, that is just for the day, was around 14 million. By that time, you know, when we talk about our collection as Kisumu County, we talk about today we collected what. But they corrected us. They told us, don't talk about today. Tell us right now. As per now, this is our collection. Their collection is per second, per minute. So to confirm that, we told them after 20 minutes to refresh the system. After 20 minutes, the collection had shot up from 14 million to around 17 million. So you can see how serious these counties are with their collection. Yet, we want to talk about development for our Kisumu County people. First, let us start with the governor. We have a meeting as Kisumu County. Let us have a complete overhaul so that we ensure that Kisumu County is given development as it needs. Right now, after doing this benchmarking and doing all this, I'm very ashamed when I go to another county and they tell me that you come from Kisumu County. I'll just tell them I come from Kisumu. Because as a city, we don't show what a city should be. Our collection is around, the other time, we were told that our collection will go to around 3.6. Right now, if you go to the revenue team, they are talking about at least 1 billion and something. All that we are supposed to be collecting, they see it as something that can't happen. And I'm really happy, in as much as we are saying all this, there's a team, and we should encourage that team. There's a GIS guy, a very young guy. He's doing some mapping so that at least we know all the businesses that we have in Kisumu County, so that when we are doing the taxing, you know this is where we should go, and the system should show, as Kiambu, what we saw, when you have paid, they have the map of Kiambu, they can see the red person has not paid, the green person has paid. The system shows. So the revenue collector knows where to go. But ours, you walk from one step to the other, you just, if you find it locked, you assume that person is not there, you go to the next. But the system should show us. So I'm urging this county, as we continue the report, let us have what these counties did. Let us have a group of, a team, a GIS person, so that they do the mapping. Let us have the team for software, the software ITP and IT people, so that they have a system that is developed by Kisumu County. The Safaricom team, their contract is ending in October. Let us have a new team from within Kisumu County. Let us employ a group of young people, sharp people who can help us in this Kisumu County. But right now, what is really happening in Kisumu County, it is a complete haste, and that reflects in development of our Kisumu County. You can't do a lot of development in Kisumu County because we are collecting nearly nothing. If you went at, that was Kiambu, their collection reflected in development because they had, if you look at their collection, from 2.9 in 2021-2022 financial year to 5.4 billion in 2024-2025. That reflects in development because they have constructed around 62 hospitals. They have constructed around 312 ECDs. And that we can't say in Kisumu County. A case, Kobura Ward, the only ECD we've done 2, the whole of this period. So we really need a complete overhaul so that we help this Kisumu County. And I want to urge members that are here, support with any information that you have so that the end report will make changes for this Kisumu County now and years to come. Thank you, Madam Speaker. I support.
I'll go for gender. I've seen Honorable Karen Odiambo. Honorable Geoffrey Warindo, I've noted you. I'll be giving you the chance. Also, Honorable Adonija, I'll give you the chance after Honorable Odari.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for the opportunity. Madam Speaker, I'll start by commending this committee for a job well done. They have brought their report within the stipulated time, and that's a plus. Madam Speaker, this committee traveled to different counties to benchmark, to do a comparison of what is being done there and what we are doing as a county. But as a legislator sitting in this house, I'm worried because the major problem we have here is implementation. They have come up with the recommendations and finally they'll complete the report and come up again with the good recommendations. But are they going to be implemented? I want to urge implementation committee to push so that the work of this committee should not be considered as a waste of time and energy. Otherwise, I support. Thank you.
Yes, Honorable Geoffrey Waring.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for the opportunity. Let me also join the queue in lauding the committee for the good work that they have done. Madam Speaker, it's not that we don't know what is ailing our own source revenue system. We know it, and we've lacked people that are bold enough and courageous enough, like the committee members that we're having today, to talk about these things openly. There's something that we all know, and we all know where the problem is. Madam Speaker, in Kisumu County, it became like working as a revenue officer was like a hot cake. This is where people are paying themselves at the expense of the development within the county. It's so unfortunate that since the inception of devolution, that is almost 15 years ago, we are still talking about the management of own source revenue. If it is not by design, then what is it? Madam Speaker, the major problem that we are having, and how I wish that the county, both the executive and the assembly, will be willing to discuss this openly. It's about corruption and political patronage. Their culprits were found just recently, and I'm told that they had defenders, even from our own institution here. When an action is supposed to be taken, some will even go back to those places to beg those guys not to take action against the culprits. Madam Speaker, if we cannot talk about this, because in all the streams that we are having, the values that are being given by the executive are being understated. And those are not the values that we are supposed to get from our revenue streams that we have around. Really worried, just like the other members, that we can talk about this. We can really talk about this, but at the end of the day, will we get the desired results so that we can get the real development taking place in Kisumu? To my understanding, when the devolution was being started, Madam Speaker, I thought that the money from the exchequer was just supposed to supplement what these counties were going to collect from their own streams. And Madam Speaker, if the right system are followed, I want to believe that we can even collect more than what we are receiving from the exchequer. But we've come to a place where we have people who are untouchables. We cannot talk about it. We keep on complaining about poor implementation of our project. And we exactly know the challenges and the gaps that we are facing. If we are not going to take this as a county, if you are not going to work on this together, Madam Speaker, then we are not going to achieve what this report is intended to achieve. And I want to urge the Kisumu County as a whole that let's take this report seriously and correct the gaps that are there so that we can also be counted in terms of development with other countries which are even smaller than Kisumu County. Madam Speaker, with those few remarks, let me also laud the committee and urge them to fast track the report, and we give the report to those who are supposed to implement it, a real implementation. Madam Speaker, if we talk about the implementation committee, we'll also just give the same recommendations. We want to see this being implemented by those who are executing these policies. And if we do this, I want to believe that Kisumu County will also be on the map of the first growing counties within Kenya. Thank you so much, Madam Speaker, and I support.
Yes, Honorable Peter Obasa.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I also rise to support the report before this House. Madam Speaker, let me start by commending the committee for the job well done. I think the report is a good one and good for also public consumption. Madam Speaker, from this report, it's a clear indication that the report exposes serious system weakness, mismanagement, and such. And it's also a clear indication that here in Kisumu, we don't lack revenue potential. But the problem is management, governance, and enforcement of the laws put in place in revenue collection. Madam Speaker, from this report, we can see many things that we always speak about here. First and foremost is automation of the revenue collection system, which was put in place sometimes back, was shuttered down, and no one has ever cared about putting it back. Secondly, is about the rogue officers, revenue collectors officers that we have, who do revenue collection. Instead of wiring them to the system, they wire them into their own pockets. Madam Speaker, from this report, we can also see that they have recommended the implementation of valuation role. And this is just advice. When they'll be making the final report, that about the evaluation role, the county should embrace a dialogue with these people who always go to court and places county government with the litigations that drag us with the time that we delay in implementing these things that will help us in revenue collection. Another thing that I want to put across is that about the system shutdown that the committee witnessed. It's quite unfortunate that a shutdown is being witnessed just because the county government could not pay the service provider 30 million in a situation whereby the county collects more than 2 billion in this case. So that's a clear indication that this was a well-designed plan so that they advance their theft in all this. So, Madam Speaker, this report is a good one. And our worry is just that the implementation part of it. I want to believe that we've known where the problem is. We know where we want to be in revenue collection. But the problem that we want to solve it's where we find the it's where we have the problem. So I just want to urge that after this report will be enacted into, then implementation will be followed, and everything will be implemented accordingly. Thank you, Madam Speaker. I support.
Honorable Adonija, I thought you were on your feet at some point.
Thank you, Madam. Considering the mood of the House, let me call the mover to reply.
Yes, Honorable Lumumba Wade.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I hereby stand to reply. But before I do so, Madam Speaker, allow me first of all to thank all the contributors of this report. For once I've seen serious House, and that tells me how touched members are with this matter of revenue collection. Madam Speaker, members have spoken. They've spoken candidly about what is ailing this county. To start with what my brother, Honorable Obaso, has said, it is not far from the truth that this happening in the county is not by coincidence, but by design. If you ask some of our members, so the behavior of the response or the replies that we're getting from some of the members, you could see from them that they know what they're doing. You could tell that others are protecting the invisible godfather or godmother. But I can tell you that time will tell. As we progress, as we are progressing well, with your support, we will achieve the intention of this committee. Warindo, my brother, confirmed again that Department of Revenue Collection is the most lucrative department where people go not to work, but to grab with impunity. It is good that you're giving us the encouragement that we need most, the confidence that we need most. As Honorable Speaker did guide this committee, that this is a progress report, that you need really give us the gaps that we need to fill in order for us to come up here, or come back here when we'll be presenting the full report that will be airtight, that can bring a stop to this heinous conduct of the revenue officers. Boyton, my brother, Honorable from Nyalenda, has urged us to be serious and produce a serious report. I can assure you that we are equal to the task. We're going to do so. Brother Bill, who is also a member of the committee, has reiterated very painfully what we learned from 3 counties. And unfortunately, we do not give any in return, which is a big shame. When you talk of Kisumu, Europe, and you go to learn from Kiambu without giving anything in exchange of ideas, only to go and borrow and learn from Kiambu. That tells you how this county is being taken back. It's a big wonder. And I say it with a lot of confidence. But sometimes you wonder as to this county has a governor on top of things. Because what is happening here, if the governor is serious, you would be seeing some serious changes, starting with what happened with the RefTech and Safaricom. I was personally shocked when the governor was also mad with what happened, how the money was siphoned, but did not give us a solution or the action he has taken. To date, nothing has happened and money was siphoned. How much money we have not been told, and they are not talking about it, even though money was siphoned. People were suspended, they are back with their duties. Nothing has been paid. But we are promising this house that no stone will be left unturned. I do appreciate the members that traveled to Kiambu, Ranga, and Laikipia. You have not let us down. You have come back with the results and demonstrated clearly what you learned, what you experienced, and you have promised this house that we are going to compete with them. When you hear about some counties like Muranga, where the MP says people go to school, students go to school and only pay 1,000 shillings per term, then others wonder whether this is not part of Kenya. It is just simple, proper management of government resources, transparency, and accountability. Here is a case in Kiambu where they started with 200 million bursaries. Now they have gone to 500. I came to this house when bursary was 205. It is still 205. Because of lack of proper revenue collection of on-source revenue. It is through on-source revenue. All these counties, their ceiling has stagnated ever since we joined them. But their on-source revenue has increased. It is only on-source revenue that we are sure of that can enhance our income, can enhance our selling. But you have seen here clearly that we have the capacity, but because of corruption, because of politics, because of godfatherism, we are now killing our people. We are killing our electorates. There are no proper water. There's no proper bursary. Give them proper education. Yet, these monies are stolen by people we employ and pay. We employ people to come and steal from us. Members, I rest my case looking forward for a time when this county assembly will change the wrong that was done before, where revenue officers were employed permanent and pensionable. Without employing these revenue collectors under contract, little will be achieved. From what we learned from Kiambu Murang, all revenue collectors must under contract and must show that they are equal to the task by being given targets and achieving targets, failure of which, if we follow what we learned from our 3 counties, I can tell you the sky will be the limit. With those remarks, Madam Speaker, yes, thank you. Thank everybody. God bless you.
Honorable members, and now that the progress report on the inquiry into the performance of on-source revenue in Kisumu County by the ad hoc committee on on-source revenue has been presented, seconded, and debated. And it's time for me to put a question. And I put that as many of the opinion that this report be adopted, say aye. As many of the contrary opinion say nay. And therefore the ayes have it. And therefore this progress report on the inquiry into the performance of on-source revenue in Kisumu County by the ad hoc committee on on-source revenue has been adopted today, 1st of April 2026 at 16:45 hours. And therefore I will not direct it to the department since it's a progress report. I will therefore request that the answered report be presented to the committee so that the committee can refine and present it in a comprehensive form in the final report. Next order, clerk.
Madam Speaker and honorable members, there is no any other business in the order paper.
Honorable members, we can be upstanding. And there being no any other business, this house stands adjourned until tomorrow, Thursday, the 2nd of April, 2026 at 2:30 p.m.